Alright, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA regular season video. We have a lot to get to in this video. We have a major injury to talk about. We have some games from MLK Day yesterday to talk about. We have the All-Star starters revealed. We have some trade concepts, rumors, ideas, whatever you want to call them. So if you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. Now, this video might be a little all over the place. I do want to start with something a little more tragic, a little more heavy, and then I think we'll get into the all-star starters at the bottom of your screen, and then we'll get into the games from yesterday. I would say about, yeah, 3 out of the 4 of them were really good. OKC versus the Cavs wasn't very good, but we might skip that one. So, yeah, let's just jump into this. Um, the saddest news of all, we'll start sad, is Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler went down last night against his old team, the Miami Heat, with an apparent knee injury. And in the moment, it didn't look good. He went down. He was obviously in a lot of pain. He was on the ground, like groaning in pain. And if you know anything about Jimmy Butler's like a trooper. Like he doesn't just like overdo things or like overreact or like embellish things. Like when he's hurt, he is hurt. Um, and he was holding the same knee that he had an MCL tear or sprain on in 2018, and then he almost, I guess, re-injured in 2022, and here we are in 2026, and Jimmy Butler tore his ACL last night. Um, yeah, season ending, reported by Shams Charania. It didn't look it in the moment. It didn't look good. You saw him on the ground. He was sort of not sort of. He was really in pain, and I felt really bad for Jimmy. And when I think about where Jimmy is in his career right now, Jimmy's I believe the number is 36. Jimmy Butler's 36 years old. Um, and let's see, is he 36? Come on, you gotta load here for me. Yeah, I believe. You give me an age here? Come on. 36 years old, 120 days, 128 days for Jimmy Butler the third. Um, After he got injured and he got up, he looked like he was in really good spirits. He was smiling, he was laughing when he got carried off, as you can see in the middle of your screen right there, by Gary Payton II and Buddy Hield. He was laughing, he was smiling. He looked like he was in good spirits, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's probably just a sprain. He probably just sprained it again. Probably just tweaked it, because that knee has given him a lot of issues in the past." Like I just said, um, I believe it's the right ACL. Pardon me, I had it backwards. I think he tore his MCL in 2018. He sprained it again in 2022, and then last night he tore his ACL. So, yeah. But I do want to talk about Jimmy, but I do want to talk about the Warriors too and what this means for them. Um, I don't want to say Jimmy Butler's done. I think Jimmy Butler's a trooper. I think he's gonna fight to come back. Um, Seeing as this is a season-ending injury, seeing that he is 36, seeing that I think this was um, the second to last year of his deal. I, I, I think, the this might be this might have been Jimmy's last game in a Warriors jersey, and this might have been his last game um, as the Jimmy Butler we know now. Um, Even the Jimmy Butler we know now isn't the Jimmy Butler from 4 years ago. He's just not the same. And I'd been very hard on Jimmy um, these last couple months, and even the end of last season. I felt like he didn't really step up, but I did feel like Jimmy was integrating himself well into the team, and he was um, the X factor in what the Warriors were doing. Everybody else would run the system, everybody else would move around Steph, but Jimmy would go rogue in a positive way and do his own thing, hit his mid range shots, drive to the basket, more often drive to the basket these days. But um, he was very important to this team, and what he brought and the intensity he brought and everything else that he brought. The Warriors won a lot of games in the back half of last season because of Jimmy Butler, and they this game against the Miami Heat that they won the game, um, 135 to Miami Heat's 112, was their fourth win. It was their first four-win streak all year. So it was trending it is trending very positively. If this had happened later in the season, obviously after the trade deadline, um, I would maybe think the Warriors can make a run, just maybe to the conference finals, maybe probably the second round. How early this is on in the season, um, what else is going on with the Warriors with Jonathan Kuminga, um, just everything. It's um it's not trending in the right direction. The Warriors have no leverage in any trade that they want to do, and any leverage they did have goes out with Jimmy Butler. I'll go Jimmy a little bit, and then we'll get into the Warriors. Jimmy this year, only 38 games. Well, not only he has played 38 games, um, 20 points a game. Let's see here. I got so many ads on this website on Basketball Reference. 20 points, almost a steal and a half, 5 rebounds. Um, was that 1.5 turnovers? Hasn't shot the greatest from three, but he's 37%. That's up from last year where he was at 27. So that was trending in the right direction. His minutes were slightly down by like a minute, which really doesn't make a difference. His field goal percentage was back up, and he was looking like he was trending in the right direction. And what Jimmy is, if this is indeed the end, six-time All-Star, steals champ in 2020, 2021, five-time All-NBA, five-time All-Defensive, and Eastern Conference Finals MVP in 2022, 2023. And I think the main thing about Jimmy is there should have been a Defensive Player of the Year in there. He had that potential. Um, he just never got there to be that, even though he really improved offensively, and was really a different sort of player in Miami, um, where I really grew to respect him. Even though I always respected Jimmy Butler, whether he's on the Bulls, whether he's in Minnesota, the Sixers, Miami, and now the Warriors. If this is indeed his final stop as Jimmy Butler, not just some role player somewhere else, um, I think it's been a great career for him. And from where he started, he was the 30th pick in the first round in the 2011 draft, to have a 14-year career and do all that stuff and almost win a championship in Miami, and then come to Golden State and try to find yourself again. And I think he was on that trajectory to do it. I think that's very positive for Jimmy. Now, to get into the business of basketball, um, Jimmy Butler, in my mind, in a lot of people's mind, I think now, to optimize the Warriors window, and the Warriors window being the Steph Curry window, um, he probably needs to get traded. I know it's not the nicest thing to do. It's not the best thing to do. If you could keep him on the roster and just axe his money, I think they would do it. I think Jimmy Butler's a very positive person in the locker room too. But uh, it, 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 it's gonna need to happen. A trade's gonna need to happen. This Warriors team, as Coach Steve Kerr has put it, they're a fading dynasty, and next year being the last year of everybody's contract. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler. Next year is the last dance for this group. Um, Steph Curry will probably stay around until he doesn't want to play basketball anymore. But for Draymond, for Jimmy, it's the last dance no matter how you slice it. Do you rip the band-aid off now and maybe even think the possibility of trading Draymond Green? I think everything's on the table at this point because you just got dealt a huge blow in Jimmy Butler. Some of the trades I've seen that I'm looking at right now on Fanspo, there's the simple one is the simple but more complicated one is the one I'm looking at right now. It's Michael Porter Jr. to the Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga to the Nets, and Jimmy Butler to the Pistons. Who the Pistons will either buy him out or keep him on the roster um, for next year. The Pistons essentially give up nobody in this trade, maybe a pick or two. You know, um, there's some LeBron for Jimmy Butler stuff that I'm looking at. I don't love that, but it might be optimal for the Lakers if they want to just get off the LeBron deal, get Jimmy Butler in the building, either buy him out, um, or just have him on the roster sitting as dead money. He's going to be off the roster anyway next year. Jimmy Butler and Luka might work. Questionable. There's another one here that I think is actually really realistic where it looks like it's Malik Monk for Jonathan Kuminga, uh, Kings Warriors swap, and then Jimmy Butler ends up back in Chicago. I don't know how he feels about Chicago. He didn't leave there on the best of terms, and then Moses Moody ends up in Dallas. I'm actually going to click on this one. This one seems vaguely interesting. Um, Hold on one second. Oh boy, okay, this was a big one. This is more than I thought it was. So the Warriors get Malik Monk, Patrick Williams, Kevin Huerter, Klay Thompson, and Kobe White, respectively, from the Kings, Bulls, and Mavericks. And Kings get Jonathan Kuminga, which they value Jonathan Kuminga probably more than any other team. The Bulls get Jimmy Butler and Pat Spencer. Pat Spencer isn't expiring. And then the Mavericks get Dylan Cardwell, and Moses Moody. Um, why do I kind of like this? Why do I kind of like this? This would never happen, but I kind of like it. And lastly, here, let's just scroll through here, see if we can find another one here that's vaguely interesting. Yeah, no, the Warriors aren't getting Giannis after this. That's not gonna happen. Um, Anthony Davis for Jimmy Butler. The Warriors and Mavericks trade problems. Both are injured. I kind of like that. I don't know if the money works on that, but I kind of like that. Huh. Yeah, I kind of like that. Also, I wanted to say this, and I keep forgetting to say it. Shams Charania had reported that Anthony Davis needed season-ending surgery on his hand, and Anthony Davis came out on Twitter and said, "That's false. I don't need surgery. I'm just going to be out for an extended period of time." So I just want to clear the air on that since I did secondhand report that from Shams Charania. So yeah, um, this is the last of Jimmy Butler stuff I'm going to talk about. Where's the Warriors season going? Like I said, I think the Warriors need to do something. They need to make a trade. There's no possible world where you don't make a trade because you're gonna be so freaking landlocked if you don't do something this trade deadline or in the off season. And I would prefer just rip the band-aid off. Just do it now. Just do it. There's no point in waiting around. There's no point in like dancing around it just to. I understand you want to comfort Jimmy. I know it'd be really like slimy and dirty to push him out the back door as soon as he's gotten injured, but he has to understand it's a business. And Um, Again, next year's the last dance for this Warriors team. So either you try to do something or you sit on your hands and you do nothing. And doing nothing is literally just keeping Jonathan Kuminga, keeping Jimmy Butler, and just keep running the same squad out there. That is now on a 4-game win streak, but it's not going to do anything in the playoffs. So yeah, that's it for the Jimmy Butler stuff. Let's move on to the All Star stuff. Some better and brighter things to talk about here. On the bottom of your screen are the starters, and this is all very confusing. So there's East and West starters, or we should say the top 10 vote getters. That's how we should say it, because they're doing Team USA versus the world. So the world team is consisting of. I'm just gonna go through it in front of you right now. The bottom of your screen are the top 10 vote getters: Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Victor Wembanyama, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Those are the 5 starters for Team World. Um, yeah, so yeah, the world does have 5 starters already. Good, okay. And then this is so freaking funny. And then USA has Steph Curry, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson, and Jaylen Brown. So 5 guards as starters. I don't obviously that's not going to be they're not going to roll out 5 guards versus Shea and Luca and 3 other bigs. They're not going to do that. They're going to actually fill the rosters with the reserves here coming up in a couple weeks probably, or in a couple days perhaps. But I do want to run through how I feel about well, one, you guys already know how my feelings about the game are. I think it's silly. I think there's no it's too convoluted. There's no point. I don't there's 3 groups of players and I just don't I the All-Star game is too convoluted for me now. Um I do want to give people their credit, their flowers. Shea, um reigning MVP, reigning NBA champ, reigning Finals MVP, much deserved. Um has been more interesting this season, I would say. I mean, I think the free throw, I don't know for a fact, but I think the free throws are down. I haven't seen anybody complain about it recently. He's hitting his 3 ball a little bit more. Um, he has a crazy streak of 20-point games. So yeah, he deserves it. Nikola Jokic, before his injury, front runner for MVP this year. The engine to that Nuggets offense, much deserved. Luca putting up crazy numbers on a mediocre team in LA. Expect to see Luka here every year if he's a Laker. Um, that's just how it goes. Steph Curry, perhaps the oldest player here. Yeah, the oldest starter here. Yeah, yeah, the oldest starter. My favorite player. Um, yeah, my favorite player. I'm happy to see him there. Putting up crazy numbers. We'll see what happens. We already just talked about the Jimmy Butler injury. Uh, just much deserved, much deserved. I think this is a bright light in what could be a bad season for the Warriors coming down the back end of the season, but we'll see. And then Victor Wembanyama, the young star in San Antonio, much deserved. Um, has the French, the nation of France behind him to get him into the All Star game. That's also important to note, but he's also a great player, a great defender. Um, very I use the word interesting a lot. I don't want to use the word interesting. Very fun. Fun's not a great word either. Just a great player to watch. When you watch Victor, he is made for the All Star game. They're just gonna let him shoot a ton of threes, and some of them are gonna go in. He's gonna have some crazy blocks, maybe. But is this his first All Star start? It might be. Yeah, it might be. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. Um, you might notice one person missing that has been in almost every All Star game for the past 21 years, basically. LeBron James. LeBron James is not an all-star starter for the first time in his career, and fans have very mixed about this. I don't think LeBron deserves to be there. I don't think LeBron has done anything extraordinary to be here as a starter. Um, that's just me. Some people are like, oh, you should have got in over Steph. Some people are like you should have got in over Wemby, and other people aren't mad about LeBron not making it. People are mad about Anthony Edwards not making it. That he should be in over Steph or Wemby. Um, I guess I don't know. I I'm never gonna say put anybody over Steph because he's my favorite player. So maybe Wemby. Maybe there's an argument for Wemby, but I always say this about when people get mad about the All Star game because people got mad about it last year when Lamelo didn't make it at all when he was just snubbed entirely. Guess what? Go out there and vote. Yeah, go out there and vote. Stay mad. Just go out there and vote. That's all I have to say. If you're mad about it, guess what? You should have voted for him. You should have used those double point days where your vote counts twice, or the 3 point days where the vote counts 3 times. You should have been paying attention, and you should have got your favorite player in there. Just because you didn't vote for your favorite player and now you're online complaining about it doesn't do anything. Go out there and vote for them next time. That's how Steph got in here. That's how Shea got in here. Go vote. Go vote. The game also is in Los Angeles, not in the Crypto.com arena, but in the newly minted Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, owned by billionaire Steve Ballmer, the latest and greatest arena in the NBA. So, yeah, the game will be in LA in the Intuit Dome. Let's move on to the East here. The East, you have Cade Cunningham, who I've been so impressed with, so high on this whole season. Absolutely love what Cade has done this season for the Pistons. The Pistons silenced the Celtics last night in a very close game. The Pistons are just running the East right now, and they look amazing. And I was gonna save it for the part where we talk about the Pistons versus Celtics, but the Pistons versus Celtics last night looked like an NBA conference finals game. It looked really good, and they both teams looked really good, even with the Celtics depleted without Jason Tatum. They look good, and the Pistons have looked good all season practically. So congrats to Cade Cunningham, All-Star starter. Tyrese Maxey, All-Star starter as well. Um, who did I think I don't even remember who I voted for in the East. I think I voted for Jalen. I voted for Jalen Johnson and Jalen Duren, and then I voted for. I don't think I voted for Maxey. I don't know. I think Maxey. Well, Maxey is the first 76ers guard since Allen Iverson to get an All-Star start, so that's something to commend him for. Congratulations. But also, I just don't. I get what Tyrese Maxey is doing. I get what he's doing on the floor, and it's very impactful for the team. And he is the future of the 76ers. I just never looked at him like an all-star starter. He never like flipped that switch, but in the East this year, I guess it's possible. So yeah, there you have it. Giannis, obviously much deserved. Similar to Steph, in a shitty season for the Bucks, this might be the one bright spot for Giannis to be an all-star starter. Congrats to him. Jalen Brunson, we'll talk about the Knicks later in this video, but um, I guess much deserved. Same with kind of Luca. As long as Jalen's in New York, he's going to be an all-star starter around that area. So congrats to Jalen Brunson. And then Jalen Brown, probably, I don't want to say the most deserving all star this year, because a lot of these guys are deserving, but the most impressive all star, just going from like what people deemed like a sidekick or like second fiddle to Jason Tatum to being the guy on, was it the second or third best team in the East, and having your team actually competitive is amazing. And I was very low on Jalen Brown coming into the season. I didn't think he could do this, and he's done it. And he's looked amazing. He's added so much to his game. He looks confident. He looks strong. All the superlatives I could say about him. Very, very deserving. Either the first or second most deserving person out of these 10 players to make it as an all-star starter. So yeah, that's it for that. Any other things here? Fan vote was 50%, NBA player vote was 25%, and the media panel was 25%. They have the All Star voting results. I'll put this down in the comments if you guys want to check it out um, for yourself. The numbers and the returns. Yeah, that is that. And then I guess let's talk about some of these games very quickly here. I think we will skip Cavs Thunder because the Thunder just absolutely decimated the Cavs. The Cavs had no answers for anybody, so I guess we'll skip that one. That was the second game of MLK Day. The first game, however, was in Atlanta. It was the Bucks versus the Hawks. The Bucks won this game 112 to the Atlanta Hawks 110, and the Hawks had some moments where they looked really good. And there was some other moments where, man, was it a tough watch? Was it a tough watch? This is the first game of MLK Day yesterday, and I almost turned it off. The Bucks looked really good. Giannis looked good, even though he was on a minutes restriction. Played exactly 30 minutes, 21 points, 17 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. Um, yeah, really good game for Giannis. Kyle Kuzma showed up finally, 10 points. Hit 1 3. I believe that 1 3 was in like the third or fourth quarter. It was a big three. Miles Turner, somewhat of a resurgence, 14 points, 8 rebounds, and the biggest reason why the Bucks won this game was and were able to stay ahead in this game. And I never felt really worried that they were going to lose this game was because of AJ Green, who had 18 points, 6 of 12 from three, and Bobby Portis, 19 points, 3 of 7 from three, 8 of 15 overall from field goal. These two guys are super important to the game. Every time the ball hit AJ Green's hands in like the second half, it was going up, and basically 50% of the time, 6 for 12, it was going in. He looked really good. He looks really confident. I believe this is year 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure I'm not misremembering here. Yeah, year three, yep, year three for AJ Green, looking good. Looking like a very good Giannis complimentary piece. We'll see about what happens to Giannis, but um, Bobby Portis came alive again. I feel like I haven't seen Bobby Portis since their finals run a bunch of years ago. Um, yeah, really good stuff. Kevin Porter looked decent. Gary Harris had some good defensive moments. I have no idea who this Pete Nance guy is, number 35. Who is this? I've never seen this guy in my life. It's only his second season, so I guess I've just never seen him. Yeah, really good game for the Bucks. Really good coaching from Doc Rivers. Surprised. I didn't know Doc Rivers had this in him. He almost lost to the better coach in Gwen Schneider. But you could say Gwen Schneider did not have his best night coaching the Hawks. Because the Hawks, as much as I've sat here over the past, what has it been, almost 18 months, 20 months now, and I'm like, oh, I like this Hawks team without Trae Young, and now that Trae Young's gone permanently, um, life without Trae Young is going to take a little while to get used to. Because, man, oh man, do I like some of these guys? Nikhil Alexander Walker, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Aneka Kongwu. Um, yeah, some of those guys played really well. Nikhil Alexander Walker, 32 points, 7 of 16 overall from three. Hit a big three to cut it, to tie it, I believe, at one point in late in the fourth. Literally checked in the game. I think they did one sprint down the court, and then there was a stoppage, and then there was a broken play, and he just caught the ball and he shot it and went in, and it tied the game. It was crazy. Um, yeah, 9 of 20 overall from field goal though. 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Really good game from Nikhil Alexander Walker. This is the Nikhil Alexander Walker I wanted to see when Trae Young was gone. And I'm not saying he's gonna be able to do this every night, but he looked really good. Dyson Daniels, 17 points, 0 of 2 from three. Gwen Schneider did the smart thing and pulled him when they had to shoot a three, when they needed a three late in game. Dyson Daniels is having the worst 3-point shooting year in NBA history. That is not a joke. That is an actual statistic. Um, not a good look for Dyson Daniels. Even though I still love him defensively, 3 steals, 1 block for Dyson. 10 assists as well, almost 10 rebounds, almost a triple double for Dyson. So really good game. Jalen Johnson really got the Hawks back into this game. At the beginning of the fourth, they just gave the ball to Jalen Johnson. They were like, just sprint down the floor and put it in the basket, and that's what he did. 28 points, 3 of 6 from three, 11 of 24 overall from field goal, 16 rebounds, 6 assists. Um, I think, and I'm no NBA coach. I think you just need to give the ball to Jalen Johnson every time you go down the floor. And I'm not saying you would have won this game, but don't overcomplicate it for Jalen Johnson. He's still finding his footing. He's still trying to be this all-star version of him and keep it sustainable enough. But don't overcomplicate it for him. Make it easy for Jalen Johnson. Don't make it hard. If you make it hard, it's gonna be even harder for him, and that's like a very obvious statement to make. But just make it easy for Jalen Johnson. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't you have to run these crazy plays. Just get downhill, get in transition. He's gonna figure out the half court at some point. It's gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen this season, I don't think. Aneka Kongwu with the start, 4 points, 10 rebounds, not great. Corey Kispert, one of the acquisitions from the Trae Young trade, 2 points as a starter. That's not great. The other guy that got in the Trae Young trade back, CJ McCollum, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Um, was tasked with taking the last shot for this game, and he fumbled it. And Hawks fans are already sick of him. They're like, get this guy off my team. He is a menace. He is a things I can't say on YouTube. Yeah, they're already fed up with CJ. I have my own disdain for CJ for other reasons other than the way he plays basketball. But it makes me chuckle whenever I see other people hopping on the CJ McCollum hate train. Because this is CJ McCollum. This game was literally the CJ McCollum experience from start to finish. So Hawks fans get used to it. um, Next game I want to talk about here. Well, this is the last full game we'll talk about, and then we'll talk a little bit about Pistons Boston at the end of this video because there is some implications of this loss for the Knicks to the Mavericks that I want to get into. The Dallas Mavericks went into New York and absolutely put belt to ass on the Knicks. The Knicks looked awful. The Mavericks won this game 114 to the New York Knicks 97. And I saw this game on the next up sort of section of the Peacock app, and I was like, Mavericks have been playing really good. They've been in a lot of tight games. They're hidden right now, and I was like, I think I got the Mavericks winning this game, just because they've been in more tight games. They feel like a tighter knit group. They know what they are. The Mavericks know what they are. Um, I regret to inform all Knicks fans that are listening to this. The Knicks don't know what they are anymore. They've lost the plot, they've lost their identity, and they've lost all semblance of togetherness. And this is it. This year is it. This is your chance. This is your chance to go to the NBA Finals. This is your chance, and you've blown it. The Celtics look better than you. The Pistons look better than you. The Toronto Raptors at times look better than you, and they're creeping up on you in the standings. Um, this is a battle that you are not going to win unless you turn it around now. And what happened last night was unacceptable, and a lot of people um, keyed into it very early on. Some people on the broadcast keyed in on it, particularly guys like Tracy McGrady, guys like Carmelo Anthony, who were covering the game in the studio. Um, they had this to say after the game, some snippets from their post game stuff. Melo said Jalen Brunson is trying to gather the guys. McGrady says there's some friction in the locker room. Tracy McGrady. Um, Carmelo Anthony says you can see in the huddle. McGrady says if I don't like if if I don't like you, why am I playing hard? That's a funny statement. And then Melo says, I don't think they're going to make change. They're going to make a change. I don't think they're going to make a change. Figure it out. No coaches locker room at halftime on us players. No coaches in the locker room at halftime on it's on us, the players. Yeah, I would agree with that. Sorry if that was a little broken. I thought this tweet was a little more put together. But yeah, that's essentially what Carmelo Anthony, former Nick, now uh, studio person at um, NBC slash Peacock, and Tracy McGrady, former NBA player, now at NBC slash Peacock as well, saying about Jalen Brunson gathering the guys at the end of the game and trying to bring them all together. And there were a lot of things that devolved that happened after this game, this loss. I believe this was like they've lost the Knicks have lost a crazy amount here. We can just pull it up right now. Um, let's see schedule. Pulling up the schedule here. Yeah, the Knicks have been on a slide since December 31st. They lost to San Antonio. They lost to Atlanta. They lost to Philly. They lost to Detroit. They won against the Clippers. They lost against Phoenix. They won it. They won in Portland. They lost to Sacramento. They lost to Golden State. They lost to Phoenix. They lost to Dallas. Um, yeah, not great. Not great. Was this? This is the last 11, I believe, right? Yeah, they've only won 2 games. And as always, it always comes down to one of your star players and the coach when you lose a game like this. And when you go on a skid like this, it comes down to those people. And they're not trading Jalen Brunson. But theoretically, almost everybody else can go. And the main person that Knicks fans want gone is Karl Anthony Towns. And after this, even before this loss, there were some rumors floating around that Karl Anthony Towns might not be long for New York. It might be over already. After not even a year and a half, it might be over. I have my own feelings about Karl Anthony Towns. I just don't think he's a winning player. I don't think he's a championship level center. I don't think he is built for the biggest games. I just don't. Um, Surrounded by a guy like Jalen Brunson, like Mikal Bridges, who are big game guys. Uh, Josh Hart is also a big game guy in his own individual way. Um, I thought maybe that'd be able to cover up what Karl Anthony Towns doesn't do, and that just simply hasn't been true. Karl Anthony Towns has been terrible this season. It looks like his head isn't in the game, and if you remember, Knicks fans will probably remember Karl Anthony Towns is one of the guys who didn't like Tom Thibodeau, now Knicks ex head coach, because he was too hard on him. And now, when the new coach, Mike Brown, isn't hard on him, guess what? He's still not playing hard. So if the common denominator is a player that doesn't want to play hard and gets upset when a coach tells him to play hard, and you bring in a guy who is just too lackadaisical in Mike Brown, what do you get? You get an unmotivated team. You get an unmotivated center, and you get a dysfunctional locker room because one side is pulling this way with Mike Brown to be like, hey, we just got to relax. It's early in the season, yada, yada, yada. You have the other side who's Jalen Brunson and a couple of the other guys who are like, no, we need to go now. This needs to get figured out now. We need to take accountability as players. It's not all on the coach. I, I'm a Mike Brown defender. I think Mike Brown's a good coach. I think he's somewhat underrated, but when he keeps digging himself into holes like this, when you get this really good Knicks team and you can't make it work, or seemingly can't make it work, it's a bad look. And in the past, when you've coached Kobe Bryant and it hasn't worked, it's a bad look. And even before that, when you coached LeBron James in Cleveland and you couldn't make it work, it's a bad look. And it might be time to admit that Mike Brown isn't a head coach, and he might be just a great assistant head coach, or associate head coach. Um, I've heard a lot of things over the last 24 hours, a lot of clips resurfacing of guys like Matt Barnes, who was coached by Mike Brown, has been around Mike Brown in the NBA sphere. Um, he's not the biggest Mike Brown fan. He knows Mike Brown in and out, and he detailed it beautifully where he's like, Mike Brown just wants to be friends with everybody, doesn't want to be hard on anybody, knows how to coach but doesn't know how to like lead people. And that's what this Knicks team is missing, is you can only do so much as a player and a leader. You need the coach to be able to get in somebody's face and be like, hey, I'm going to bench you right now because you freaking suck and you need to be better. And I don't think Mike Brown. I don't think I've ever seen him do that. I think I've seen him blow up once, in one post game press conference, and that wasn't even because his players played bad. It was because the refs were bad. If you remember that clip at all. um. Anyways, I'm rambling. Um. Run through this game real quick, and then of course, because it is NBA trade season, we will go through some Karl Anthony Towns trades. For the Dallas Mavericks, Max Christie 26 points, 8 of 10 from three. Max Christie, revenge season, looking really good at this point. Cooper Flag 18 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, looked really good. Najee Marshall 19 points. Najee Marshall looked like I don't even know what he looked like. He looked like I will say DeMar DeRozan, like a really good version of DeMar DeRozan. 19 points, 7 of 18 overall from field goal, 1 of 6 from three, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. Good stuff. Um, Klay Thompson looked alive for once. 14 points, 4 of 7 from three, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and yeah, and almost everybody scored on the Mavericks except Miles Kelly, who did not score, but only played 2 minutes. So probably everybody would have scored on this on this roster if they would have played like 5 or more minutes. And for the um, for the Knicks, Karl Anthony Towns was tied for leading scorer, 22 points, tied with Jalen Brunson's 22 points. They both were in foul trouble. Five personal fouls for Karl, 4 for Jalen, 5 for Josh Hart, who didn't play a great game, 7 for Mikal Bridges, 9 for OG Anunoby points. Mitchell Robinson at times looked like the best offensive player. He looked really good. He had a stretch where he just was going to the basket and he was dunking the ball, and it actually looked like the Knicks were gonna get back into the game. And then like the Mavericks were like, no, no, we're gonna send you into questioning yourself for the rest of the week. uh, 12 for Mitchell Robinson, 14 rebounds. Surprisingly, really good. So yeah, that's it. That's the game. Let's talk about Karl Anthony Towns trades because that's the fun part about this. Again, I'm not the biggest Karl Anthony Towns fan, so I will say what I like about Karl Anthony Towns. As we go through some of these things, um, there have been reports and whispers around the league have begun to speculate on the possibility of the Knicks moving Towns. His name surfaced when the Bucks and Knicks discussed a chance of a Giannis trade. I think that is still very possible. I think that is the preferred trade. Um, but now league sources are talking about have talks have involved other teams, including Memphis, Orlando, and Charlotte. I don't know. I don't know how. The only one I vaguely like is Memphis because it's literally just a Jaren Jackson Jr. swap for Karl Anthony Towns, and that makes New York a little bit better. I like a front court of Triple J and Mitchell Robinson better than Karl and Mitchell Robinson personally. Orlando, I don't even know. And Charlotte would just be sending him to the Shadow Realm at that point. I don't know if I like that at all for Karl. Even though I'm not the biggest Karl fan, he doesn't deserve that. Um, I'm just on Twitter looking through some of this stuff, and one of these guys on Twitter, what's his name? Blames on Twitter says the Thibrels won. Those being Tom Thibodeau fans, the Thibrels. I think I'm a Thibrel. Yeah, I'm a Thibrel. um, I said this at the beginning. The Blazers are also interested in Karl Anthony Towns somewhat. Um, I said this at the beginning of the year when they didn't look great. This team has just lost something. It's lost that it factor, and I don't think there's any getting it back. And it's sort of disappointing because I was really high on this Knicks team last year, and they kind of blew it against the Pacers. and you saw the cracks then, and then you didn't really fix the cracks. You just sort of like didn't you put like a tarp over it. You didn't even fix the crack. You just put a tarp over it. Like there was a hole in the wall, and you were like, we don't want to plaster it. We don't want to put a painting over it. Let's just put a tarp over it. You literally just put a tarp over it, and here you are again, um, questioning whether you should have made that Giannis trade last year, the year before that. You know, I think the answer is yes. You probably should have made that Giannis trade. But now here we are talking about a Giannis trade again in on the 20th of January, 2026. Here we are again talking about it. I'm gonna run through a couple of these real quick. Um, the first one I see right here um, is Giannis for Karl Anthony Towns, and then you get Anthony Davis involved as well to go to the Bucks. So 80 in Milwaukee, Giannis in New York, and Cat in a Mavericks jersey. Not terrible. Not terrible. Um, Another one here that this looks really freaking crazy. The Warriors get Mikal Bridges. The Bucks get Devin Vassell with some other players. The Bucks get not the Bucks. The Knicks get Giannis, and the Spurs get Karl Anthony Towns. That might be the only saving grace for Karl Anthony Towns is if he ends up in San Antonio, because Victor Wembanyama is going to clean up all his defensive mistakes. um, there's another one here that like Nick Claxton to the Knicks for Karl Anthony Towns on the Nets, and the Pelicans get involved and get OG Anunoby and some other players. Eesh. Um, yeah, some of the I think it's this one's interesting. The Knicks get Giannis, obviously. Charlotte gets Cat, Karl Anthony Towns, and the Bucks get LaMelo. Oh wow, I don't hate that. If I'm the Bucks, I hit yes on this. If every if the Hornets and the Knicks both call me and we're on like a group phone call and they're like, "Hey, we just need we want you to take on LaMelo here," I'm saying yes. And Giannis is going to New York, baby. um, yeah, the car thing is just so interesting. I had another thought um, about this. I was trying. Oh man, I had it on the tip of my tongue, and now I can't remember it. There's another destination for Karl Anthony Towns that I really like, but now I can't think of it. Maybe I'll think of it for the next video. But yeah, in my mind, if this Memphis thing is anything tangible, if I'm the Knicks, I do this. I understand that Jaren Jackson Jr. still has the same defensive issues, the foul trouble issues that Karl Anthony Towns has, but at least I feel a bit more comfortable running Jaren Jackson Jr. out there with Mitchell Robinson. I feel a little more confident in that in the playoffs. It's a lot of money for Jaren Jackson Jr. though, and then you're literally if you think your window's tight now, it's gonna be even tighter. Yeah. Would it work for the Grizzlies? I mean, Zach Edey and Karl Anthony Towns in a front court. I don't hate it for what it's worth. I don't hate it. Yeah. So this video is going a little longer than I thought it'd be. I knew it'd be a long one, but I didn't think it'd be this long. Um, this last game here, Pistons versus Celtics. I'm just gonna graze over this very quickly because I do want to talk about this game a little bit. The Pistons won this game 104 to the Celtics 103, and like I said when I was talking about the All Stars, this felt like the Eastern Conference Finals. I might be crazy for saying that. I might be crazy. I might be crazy for saying that, but it genuinely felt like the Eastern Conference Finals, and I've been so impressed with the Celtics team, um, especially this game. The big names for this game. Sam Hauser looked really good. Um, where is he at? Where's this? Mezzi Keita looks good. Jalen Brown had 32. Payne Pritchard looked good. Luca Garza looks good, surprisingly. Um, and they just hung around in this game. And every time the Pistons and Celtics have played, I have been tuned in. I've been locked in on this matchup because it feels like they've played 10 times, and the past like they've actually only played like 3 to 4 times, but the past like 3 times, 2 times that the Pistons have met the Celtics, the Pistons have looked really good. And they're not just like, oh, we're just better than them. Okay, we know we're better than them. We don't have to take this seriously. Um, they've taken it seriously every single time. Um, Leading scorer for this game, Tobias Harris, making his once a year appearance. Very good to see for Tobias Harris, 25 points. 11 of 22, 11 of 20 from field goal, and 3 of 8 from three. Duncan Robinson looked good, 15 points. Jalen Duren, I think he's an all-star. He should be an all-star, 18 points, 9 rebounds. Cade Cunningham, 14 assists, 16 points. Stuart Thompson, 7 points. And the rest of the team just floated around. 8 points Stewart, 3 points Holland, 3 points Green, 2 points Levert, and 7 points Ivy. So yeah, just want to talk about that game very quickly. This is one of my favorite matchups, and if we get this for the next like 5 years, this sort of matchup, I'm gonna be a happy camper. So yeah, that's it. That's the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Um, Talked about All Star stuff. Talked about the Jimmy Butler injury. Talked about Giannis. Talked about Karl Anthony Towns. Talked about all sorts of stuff. So yeah. Um, will there be a video tomorrow? Because there are games. It is Tuesday. No, there'll be a game. There'll be a video Thursday. Yeah, because we'll talk about Tuesday's games tonight that are tonight. Talk about Wednesday games that are tomorrow. Take a little break, rest my voice. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Cheers.